want to think a little bit more about the whole this whole idea you said, the high level where people that are running these companies, people that are making the films, they're curating the content, they're the ones that are really dictating what the people quote unquote like. And I say the Commonwealth when I say people. That was super interesting to me because I always feel like I have a more individualistic approach. I have, like I said, very capitalist point of view. So very free market. Everybody has their own biases, their own opinions, everything. So they can choose what they like.
Yeah.
And I'm an individualistic person. So I would like to think that, my own free will is definitely not in jeopardy when I go out and try to decide what pack of chicken I want to buy from the supermarket,
Yeah.
So I don't know. It kind of rubs me a little weird. But like I said, you're more experienced in this. So I just wanted to know a little deeper in that.
The thing is, Pete, on an individual level, yes, you and I we might not succumb to like brainwashing and being told what we should and shouldn't believe. But overall, the companies, they do have a decent power to, influence people. I like to, the way you talked about how the corporations and the companies are the ones who decide what we like and what we don't like. I slightly disagree because I can't speak for much for movies because I don't know movies too well, but I know video games pretty well. And there are times when like a video game company, they'll make a game that everyone they'll have a franchise that is really popular and they'll make a sequel that really changes things up, and the community will be like, no, we really don't like this, and the sales will drop, and then the next time they make the game, they make it better, catering to the people who were complaining in the first place. So this is clearly this clearly shows that while the companies are the ones making the stuff we love, we have the power to decide also. Like, obviously, on an individual level, if I said I'm boycotting this, they're not going to care because they sold another 1 million copies without my sale.
Yeah.
But if everyone didn't buy it, then they'd be like, oh my God, this is bad. We need to do something about this. I like to think, I just came up with this thought, and let me know what you think. I like to think of this kind of like a king with his kingdom. The king has all the power. They decide the laws, the rules, and what people should and should like and should do. But at any point when the people want to revolt, they can overtake the king. They have the power. They just don't do it until a certain boundary is pushed. I think... And while companies and corporations do have a lot of power and a lot of influence, and a lot of people just look at TikTok, get easily brainwashed into doing silly things for no good reason that I can't explain no matter how hard I try, they do technically have the power to stop it. They just have to do it together, which they're not going to do 99% of the time, which makes your original belief come true.
Yeah, the thing, and that's certainly the situation, is definitely a power balance, or balancing act between corporations and the people. Mm-hmm. I think in that balancing act, it teeters a little bit more towards the corporations because the amount of influence that they have. Case in point, the Hobbit movie.
I remember watching that, but I didn't know anything about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, the Hobbit trilogy was, oh God, what a terrible trilogy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, too bad.
I didn't know anything about Lord of the Rings.
Pete, so if my memory is correct, The Hobbit is like one book that they spread in 3 movies.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's not how you make a trilogy.
Not at all. It was one book, and the book wasn't even like
that long.
1, 2, it wasn't made for the same audiences, the book, The Hobbit, as The Lord of the Rings was.
Okay.
And 3, no one asked for the Hobbit movie.
Oh.
No one asked for it.
But you see, that's where my point comes in. It's like, why would you even think about...
But they made it, though.
No one asked. But like...
What do you mean?
Quote unquote, no one asked. As in, it's dictated on the people what they want.
It didn't, though.
But they didn't want it.
Well, I know.
But they made it anyway.
I know, but isn't it, the point is, whether they want it or not, it's still, you're putting the pieces in, okay. I'm struggling to find an analogy right now, but
I got you.
My point is, like, you're putting the ball in the people's court.
Okay.
You know?
They made the thing and they pushed it on people through marketing, you know, through the toys.
Yeah.
Getting Martin Freeman. He's good. You know, people like the Martin Freeman. Getting the Gandalf, you know what I'm talking about? Using so much of the Lord of the Rings like
legacy
to push this movie and to say to people, this is like the Lord of the Rings, guys. Watch this movie. You'll love this movie. But and it was bad, but people watched it. You know what I'm saying? People like tried to convince themselves as they went out of the theater. No, that was a good movie. I enjoyed it. So much so that not just the one, but all three, I think, damn near made the money back that they spent on making them.
Oh, wow.
And they didn't deserve it. They didn't deserve it at all.
Yeah, but...
and I think that's...
Yeah, continue.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, I was pretty much done.
Oh, sorry for cutting you off. I like to think of this, once again, I know video games more than movies. I like to think of this more like a legacy status. So, for example, do you know what Street Fighter is in video games?
Oh, yeah.
That's a really popular franchise. And in recent years, Capcom, the creators, kind of were struggling, like, with satisfying the customers. But people still buy it because it's Street Fighter. The guys who made the really good games in the past, they're still making the next Street Fighter, so I'm gonna buy it. You know, this is what I think of as like a legacy status. It's like you establish yourself as a name. Like, you know, like in restaurants, you know what McDonald's is, you know what Starbucks is, you know all this stuff, and it's considered good, or maybe it was good in the past, or whatever. You know them. You know their names.
Yeah.
But, so now when they put out a new game, you know who's making it, and they made good stuff in the past, so you're like, oh, well, it's got to be good this time, and sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
And with this Hobbit movie, I don't know, I didn't watch Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, I just knew about the Hobbit scenario. I assume the Lord of the Rings movies were pretty good, so once you have those good movies, well, now the corporations who only care about money, they're like, well, we have this whole other book that kind of relates to Lord of the Rings, and we can market it as Lord of the Rings, but not really. And people will buy it because people liked it the first time. Another thing is Star Wars, like the new trilogy that happened. Did you watch those movies?
I did.
Did you like them?
I hate to be that guy. I like them. I like the movies.
No.
I like them. I know.
No, that's fine. You're allowed to like what you want. I mean,
I hate you, Alex.
you're wrong. You're wrong, but you can like what you want.
You're wrong.
No, I get it. Your point. You're saying.
Well, I mean, since you like it, this might be a little awkward now, but the main thing is,
no, it's okay.
I think it's fair for us to say those movies sold well because Star Wars was really cool before, and people were like, they're doing it again, so it's got to be good again. And you say yes. I think even you would say it's not as good as the old ones.
No. No, it's not.
I think an even more better example, Disney with their remakes. They're not making any original movies anymore. They just keep... It's like, hey, guys, remember The Lion King? What if you watched it again, but 3D this time?
Right.
Remember Mulan?
Or what was the... Yeah, exactly. What's the term they used to do, like...
live-action remake.
What's it called? Live action.
Yeah. They even hired Beyonce, and no one could... for The Lion King?
What do you mean they hired Beyonce?
They hired Beyonce
to be a voice actress.
Play a character. To be a voice actress.
They did not.
They did.
For who?
For people.
I think for Nala. I think she was Nala. Yeah. And 4 people, right? And they also casted Donald Glover as Simba. And I thought, I didn't watch the movie, but from the trailers, I was like, he's not Simba. You know, he doesn't have He just doesn't have that range to be Simba.
I never watched any of the
OMG
remakes.
boys.
Even if the remakes are good, which apparently from what I've been reading, a lot of them aren't. Some of them are okay, but most of them aren't. They still pale in comparison to the original 2D animations because they just
Yeah.
And this is my personal opinion, but I like cartoons more than I like real life. I live real life every day. Why do I want to see a movie about real life?
Exactly. And I agree. I'm much more of an animation guy. And like, I think that when the degree of disbelief, it kind of, you don't have to enter that realm in your head when you watch a animation, or an animated thing.
Okay.
Because in your head it's not real. Obviously.
Okay.
It's not real. So with that guise over, you watching it, the things start to become real. You know what I'm saying? It feels more real because it's not real.
Imagination. Imagination is a huge, huge factor.
No,
but when
and
you watch a live action thing.
Yeah, but also like Disney in the 90s, they really were good with script writing, with scenarios, with the animation. Robin Williams' Genie is just, it's art. Like that is just beautiful. Like there's just a lot of character and charisma. It's like, yes, it's animated, but like as a kid and even as an adult, you can feel for these characters. You relate to them even if they're not real. Whereas now you have them quote unquote realistic, but their dialogue and their way they were written are so much more bland that why should I care?
Exactly. I got you. And that is certainly a big aspect of, in the writing. When you're writing something, you want to make sure your writing is believable enough that a person watching, your audience, is not getting casted out of the movie, out of the believability of it. I just think it's also easier for bad writing to skate under the rug if it is animated, I feel like that may be a hot take, but personally I think, it's easier for me to believe an animated whoever to say some something stupid than, to see a real guy saying something stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
That's a hot take.
No. There's some truth to that. Do you know what Final Fantasy is? It's a video game.
I do, but I've never played the games.
So the most popular one is Final Fantasy VII, and this year they remade the game, like 3D graphics. They redid everything, right? So the thing about the original Final Fantasy is there was no spoken dialogue. You had text boxes. And the dialogue was kind of goofy. It was silly a little bit, but it was never spoken out loud. You just read it. And when you read something without a voice, you kind of make it up yourself. Whereas in this remake, they are now speaking, and the dialogue sounds stupid when they actually say it out loud. So that's like a perfect example of what you were saying. It's like if it's animated, well, it's more believable. The same way it's like if it's not spoken but it's written, I can kind of imagine how it would be said and it would make sense to me. Whereas if you see some like really serious soldier being like saying something silly like where's the mayo, it's like that's not that he wouldn't say that, but now he's saying it and it sounds silly.
It's all it's all in the tone. It's all in the tone. I find it interesting. I just find it interesting how America doesn't treat its cartoons as well as they should. Like for adults, like adult animation. I think anime goes crazy with it, but it's definitely not America. Like I want to see more dramatic stuff in animated